Good morning, all. In the last session, we have discussed about what is application development, what is backend development, what is front-end development, right? The project that we are going to develop can be implemented in two parts. One is backend development, another one is front-end development. Backend development plus front-end development is called as full stack development. What will be there in the back end of the project and what will be there in the front end of the project. Front end, nothing but user interface, presentation logic. Whatever we see on the project, that is called as user interface. Suppose if you go to our website, whatever you are able to see on this website, everything is called as front end. The menus, the courses which are offering, the course details, the buttons, everything is called as front end. That front end contains presentation logic. Once a user performs some operation on this presentation, then it will interact with the back end. That means whenever you click on this view details button, it is getting the details of that course and it is displaying here. That is called as backend there. So every application will contain the front end and back end. End user will see only front end of the application. End users cannot see the back end of the application. When user performs some operation in the front end, then the front end will be interacting with the back end and the back end will interact with the database also. So the developers who can develop the backend part of the project are called as backend developers. The developers who will develop the front end of the project is called as front end developer. Now, any developer who can develop both the back-end development and the front-end development is called as full stack developer. Nowadays, full stack developers are having lot of demand in the market. Packages also very high for the full stack developers. Then next one, here any project can be implemented in two ways. So what are the two ways to implement the project? The projects can be implemented by using monolith architecture as well as microservices architecture, front end, back end, database, right? Now, so what is monolith architecture? Monolith architecture means single project with all functionalities. So client has given 100 requirements, all the 100 requirements we developed as one project. If we develop all the 100 requirements as one project, then we will call it as monolith architecture application. So there are some drawbacks are available when we go for this monolith architecture. Next one, to overcome the problems of the monolith architecture, we are going for microservices architecture. Microservices architecture, nothing but the project will be divided into several REST APIs. Every REST API is one project. This is one REST API, it is one project. This will be developed by using Spring Boot, and we are going to deploy this in a server. Python is there. This is one REST API. This also will be deployed into server. This is one REST API. This is one REST API. This is one REST API. As we are going to follow microservices architecture means the project will be divided into several REST APIs. Microservices architecture means several REST APIs will be available to develop our application. So nowadays, the projects are getting developed by following this microservices architecture. Now, in this microservices architecture, several advantages are there. APIs are loosely coupled, deployment is easy, issue fixing is easy, maintenance is easy, functionality is distributed. So several advantages are there. That's why people are going with microservices architecture. So this is what we discussed in the last session. What is full stack development? What is monolith architecture? And what is microservices architecture? Are you guys comfortable with this? Are you guys comfortable with this? Come on. Yes. All right. Next, let's get started with our let's get started with our course, guys. Right now, so we are going to start with Spring Core module. So from today onwards, we are going to start with our Spring Core. It is very important. Spring Core is the fundamental part of the Spring framework because we are going to understand Spring Boot. So now our course is going to start with Spring Core. After this Spring Core, we are going to learn Spring Boot. Then we will be learning data JPA, then WebMVC, then RESTful services, that is called Spring REST API, Spring Cloud, microservices, and security. So these are the topics that we have to learn as part of our course. Now, so from today, we are going to start with this Spring. Right, guys? So I discussed in the first session itself, what is our course content. We are going to learn Spring Boot. Actually, we have to learn this Spring Boot, but in order to learn this Spring Boot, we need to know some fundamental core, nothing but important. Right now, in order to learn this Spring Boot, we need to have some fundamental concepts from the we need to know some fundamental concepts from the Spring framework. So first we are going to learn those fundamental concepts of the Spring framework, then we are going to start with the Spring Boot. So once the Spring Boot is completed, then data JPA to communicate with the databases. So it is advanced to the Hibernate. Right now, once it is done, WebMVC, Spring WebMVC module, if you want to develop a web application, or if you want to develop a distributed application by using Spring or Spring Boot, then you need to go for WebMVC. Right now, to develop the distributed applications like REST APIs, we need to use this Spring with REST concept. Then Spring Cloud concept is available like Eureka Server, API Gateway, FIAN Client. All those cloud concepts we are going to learn in the Spring Cloud. Then microservices architecture. We will develop a mini project also by using this microservices architecture. Then we will go for security, how to secure our REST APIs. Got my point? Now, next, let's get started with our Spring framework, guys. So today we are going to start with our Spring framework. Can anyone tell me what is a framework? What is a programming language? And what is a framework? I have two questions here. What is programming language? Java is a programming language. Java is a programming language. Spring is a framework. Hibernate is a framework, right? What is programming language? What is a framework? Can anyone respond to these questions, guys? Can anyone respond to these questions now? What is a framework? What is a programming language? What is the difference between programming language and a framework? What is the difference between programming language and framework? Come on. Programming language is used for application development. Then why we will use framework? Framework also used for application development only. So somebody told that programming language used for application development, then framework also used for application development only. What is programming language? I want everyone to respond in the chat. What is programming language and what is framework? There are so many programming languages are available, right? There are so many programming languages are available like Java, C, Java, C, PHP, Python. These all are programming languages. So what is the difference between a programming language and a framework. You all are Java developers, Java programmers, right? People are not responding in the chat. Guys, please be interactive. Don't sleep सुबह सुबह उठ के क्लास में. Sir, मुझे नींद आ रहा है sir. Please don't ask the questions. Whatever you want to explain, please explain and close the session. I don't want such kind of people. If you are feeling sleepy, leave the session and go and sleep. If you are in the session, you have to be active. You have to respond to my questions. Then only you will understand the subject. Interaction is most important. In the Udemy, there are so many courses available for 300 rupees, 400 rupees. In the YouTube, so many courses are available. Why are you joining for the live class? Interaction with the trainer, doubts clarification, real-time concepts. So please utilize this time properly. I'm not giving this course for free. You are paying 7,000 rupees. You have to take that benefit. Okay, when you are paying the money, you have to take that benefit, understand the concept, involve, ask the doubts, get the clarifications, respond to the questions, make the session interactive. If you respond, then I will get more energy. Right. Here, programming language is used by the programmers to communicate with the computers. So what is the main purpose of the programming language? Programming language is used to communicate with the computers, guys. Right now, we don't know how to communicate with the computers. Computers knows only binary language. Computers knows only binary language. I want to give some task to computer. In order to communicate with the computer, our programmers are going to use a programming language. If I want to communicate with one person, now I can communicate by using one language like English, Hindi, Telugu, Bhojpuri, Marathi, Odia, Kannada, like this. So if a person to person communication by using a language, then how a person will communicate with the computer? That's where programming language came into picture. Are you guys getting my point here? If one person want to communicate with another person, there are some languages available. Now there is one person, that person want to communicate with another person. How one person will communicate with another person? Language. So they will use their mother tongue and they are going to communicate with each other. Person 1 is available and person 2 is available. So this person will say hi. Now this person will say hello. That means these people are communicating by using English. English is a global language. Hi, hello. So this is English language. So these people are communicating. Person 1 and person 2. If two people want to communicate with each other, they need some language. If two people communicate in Telangana, they will communicate with Telugu. If two people are in Odia, they will communicate by using Odia language. Similarly, every state having their own mother tongue, right? So those people are going to communicate. That's fine. We are going to use some languages for the communication. We are going to use some languages for the communication. What are the languages we have? English. Mostly we are going to use English, Hindi, Telugu, Odia, etc. That's fine. People are going to communicate with the languages. Now the thing is, I have a computer. I want to tell to my computer to perform some action. This is my machine. This is my machine. A computer is available. I want to tell the computer, hey computer, perform sum of two numbers. I want to give a task to the computer, then computer should perform that task and a computer should provide the output. So humans introduced these computers to automate the work. Now I am a human being. I want to communicate with a computer. So if a person want to communicate with another person, there are languages available. Similarly, if a human want to communicate with a computer, computers knows only binary language. Can I talk to computer in Telugu? Can I talk to computer in Hindi? Can I talk to computer in English? Computers knows Hindi, English, Telugu, Marathi. Come on. Computers knows Hindi, English, Telugu, Marathi? No. What is the language of the computers? Computers knows which language? Only binary language. Binary language nothing but ones and zeros. Now computers knows only binary language ones and zeros. Now here human wants to communicate with a computer. If a human wants to communicate with a computer, then we are going to, this is going to use ones zeros like this. We need to send the instruction to the computer. Computer will send the response also in the same format. That is the binary language. So it is difficult for the people to work on the binary language. That's why programming languages came into market. That's why programming languages came into market. Now can you tell me what is the main purpose of the programming languages? Can you tell me what is the main purpose of the programming languages? Programming languages are used by the humans to interact with the computer. So C, C++, Java, Python, PHP, etc. These all are called as programming languages. So why we are learning the programming languages now? Programming languages are used to interact with the computer. Normal English, Hindi, English, Telugu, these are used by the people to communicate with each other. If one person want to communicate with another person, we have some languages. Similarly, if one person want to communicate with a computer, we have the programming languages. So now, can you tell me what is a programming language? Programming language is used by humans to communicate with the computers. Programming language used by humans to communicate with the computers. To communicate with computers. Programming language contains set of syntaxes, set of rules and regulations will be available. Programming language contains, every programming language contains set of rules and syntaxes. Programming language contains set of instructions, set of instructions. Now, example, C, Java, Python, PHP, etc. These all are programming languages. C++, Java, Python, etc. PHP. These all comes under C# is available. C++, Java. C# is also a programming language, .NET based. C#, Python, etc. These all are programming languages. Programming languages contain set of instructions. Now we are going to follow those instructions and we are going to develop the programs. Set of programs is called as one application. Set of programs is called as one application. Programming languages are fundamental concepts. Programming language contains the basic syntaxes, fundamentals, rules and regulations will be available. Then what is a framework? What is a framework? Framework means semi-developed project. Framework means semi-developed software. Framework means semi-developed software. Now here guys, we want to develop one application. So in the market, there are so many people are available who are developing the applications. So when we are developing the application, some common logics we need to write for every project. Some common logics we need to write for every project. Now see here. So TCS company developing one project, TCS project, IBM company developing one Java project, Wipro company developing one Java project. So there are so many companies are developing project. So let me call this as TCS application and let me call this as IBM application. Let me call this as Wipro application. So several Infi application or Wipro, any company. Infi app. These people are developing the applications. Now, when these people are developing the applications, so these people need to communicate with the database communication, DB connection, object creations, object creations, form validations, form validations, form rendering, form validations, form rendering, email sending, email sending. Got my point? Email sending, security, security. These are common requirements. These are common requirements. Now, when we are developing one application, that application should communicate with a database. So database connections are required. We need to load the driver. We need to get the connection. And in the application, we need to create the objects. One object should communicate, one class should communicate with the another class. So we are going to create the object to set the data and call the methods. Forms will be available, form validations, form rendering, or form data capture, capturing form data. It's very common requirement, right? So every application will contain a form. When user submit the form, we need to capture that form data. We need to capture the form data, and we need to perform the form validations. In the applications, we will have a logic to send the emails. For every application, we need to implement security. Guys, whatever the logics are available in the TCS application, these are specific to only TCS. These are the common requirements for every project that we develop. Come on, guys. So whatever the logics are available, whatever the requirements are available for the TCS, these requirements are only for the TCS application. These are common for every project in the industry. Communicating with the database, opening the database connections, creating the objects in the project, performing the form validations, capturing the form data, sending the emails, securing the application. These required for this project. These things required for this project. These things required for this project also. So can you tell me what is happening in the industry? Can you tell me what is happening in the industry? In every project, we are writing some common logics. Business logic will be available and some common logics will be available. TCS application contains a logic, passport application, passport booking, passport providing. So here, passport application, passport providing. TCS project is providing passports for the people. So passport providing business logic available. Passport providing business logic is available in the TCS company. Got my point, sir? So this is a business logic for the TCS application. And IBM application contains a business logic, weather forecasting, temperature data it is going to get from the satellite, weather forecast business logic is available. Weather forecast business logic is available in the IBM application. Infosys application, train tickets booking. It is IRCTC. Train tickets booking business logic. Train tickets booking business logic available in the Infosys application. So here from this diagram, what you are able to understand, every project is having some business logic that is specific to only that project, and every project is having some common logics also. Guys, a project will contain some business logic and a project will contain some common logic. Now, if we go for another project also, another project will have some requirements, some business logic. Let me go for make my trip application. Let me go for make my trip application. Make my trip application will contain some business logic. What is the business logic? Flight tickets booking, airlines booking. Make my trip airlines booking, hotels booking, airlines booking, business logic will be available. Airlines booking, business logic. That is specific to their business. In order to execute that business logic, they need some logic. This is called supporting logic. This is common for every project. If you develop 1,000 projects also, these logics are common. So every project will have a business logic and every project will have some common logic. Now, for example, assume that all these projects are developing by one company. All these projects are developing by one company. Then how many places we are writing these common logics, guys? Now, can you tell me what is the problem of going for this approach? What is the problem in this approach? Can you tell me what is the problem in this approach? Are we writing some common logic in multiple places, duplicate code, same task we are doing again and again? Can we say that we are doing the same task again and again? Exactly, this is the problem. Now, here people identified that array in every project, database connections are mandatory, object creations are mandatory, form validations are mandatory, form data capture is mandatory, email sending is mandatory, security is mandatory. If you develop 100 projects also, in 100 projects we need to do all these activities, and project specific business logic will be available, that is accepted. So TCS application contains the passport booking, IBM application contains the weather forecasting, Infosys application contains the train ticket booking, Make My Trip application contains airlines booking. Every project is having their own business logic, forget about it. Now, some common logic also available in every project. These logics are common for every project. We are writing the logic in every project for some common requirements. So to overcome this problem, a framework came into market. Frameworks are nothing but semi-developed software. Frameworks provides some common logics which are required for several applications. Frameworks provides some common logics, some common logics which are required for application development. Now, if I want to develop one application, I need the database communication. I need to create the objects in my application. I need to do the form validations. I need to capture form data. I need to send the email. I need to do security. Now, you no need to do all these things, guys. You no need to do all these things here if you go for framework. You no need to do all these things if you go for framework concept, because framework will provide you these common logics. Now, remove all these things from here. Remove all these things from here. You no need to write these things in your project. You just to use Spring framework in your project. What is the framework available for us, guys? You use a Spring framework in your project. That Spring framework will provide you some common logics. So Spring framework developed by some company. Now, if you use this Spring framework for your project, then you no need to write the common logics in every project. Spring framework will provide you those common logics. Now, what are the common requirements are available for every application? Those common requirements are already implemented in the Spring framework. Whatever the common logics are required for you, these logics are already implemented in the Spring framework. So if you use the Spring framework, then common logics will be available for your project. You concentrate only on the business logic. If you don't use a framework, then as a developer, you need to implement this business logic and you need to implement these common logics also. If you are developing two projects in the company, in two places you have to write the business logic and two places you need to write the common logic. So to overcome this problem, frameworks came into market. What is a framework? Framework means semi-developed software. That means that project is already developed. It contains some logic. It is not fully developed, guys. It is semi-developed. Why it is called semi-developed? That semi-developed means The framework will contain some common logics only. Framework will not contain the business logic because they don't know what is your business logic. They don't know what is your business requirement. They will give you some common logics which are required for everybody. You use that common logic in your project and you develop your business logic. So that's why frameworks are called as semi-developed softwares. Framework means semi-developed software. Frameworks provides some common logics which are required for application development. If we use a framework for the project development, then framework will provide the common logic and we need to concentrate only on the business logic. Now, guys, can you see here, without frameworks, what is the problem? With a framework, what is the advantage? Now, project development without framework. Project development, application development without framework. Application development without framework. So are you able to understand the problem of developing an application without using framework? Are you able to understand the problem of developing a project without using framework? Are you able to understand the problem? Developing an application without framework, we need to develop the business logic and we need to develop the common logics also here. If we don't use a framework, if we don't use framework in our application development, then we should develop both business logics and common logics. If we don't use framework in our application development, then we need to develop both business logics and common logics in our application. Can you guys look at this diagram? Are you getting the clarity? What is the problem if you don't use framework? Now respond to me in the chat box. What is the problem if I don't use framework in the project? What is the problem if I don't use framework in the project? Can you please respond? I want response in the chat. Only 2 people responded. अरे यार क्या कर रहा भाई? If the framework is not available, developers need to write the business logic and developers need to write the common logic. So when you write the business logic and common logic, it will take more time and that there is a chance of getting errors also because we are writing the code several places. There is a chance of getting errors and it is going to take more time also. Now, and we are writing the same code again and again in the several projects, repeated boilerplate, repeated code we are writing again and again if you don't use a framework. So to overcome this problem, frameworks came into market. Now you see here, these are common logics we are writing in our projects. Are these common logics already implemented in another project? Common logics we are writing in our project are common logics are already implemented in another project. Common logics are we implementing in our project? These common logics are already implemented in other projects. Spring framework, nothing but Spring project. Some company developed a Spring project. In the Spring project, they have implemented the logic for database connections, object creations, form validations, form data capturing, email sending, and security. So now, instead of we are developing the same logic again in our application, whatever the logic already available in the Spring framework, I am going to reuse. Whatever the logic already implemented in the Spring framework, I will use the Spring framework in my project so that I can reuse the logic of the Spring in my project. Spring framework contains some logic. That logic I want to reuse in my project. If we use framework, if we use framework, then it will provide some common logics required for our application, so that we can concentrate only on business logic development. We can concentrate only on the business logic development. So with this, are you guys getting the clarity? What is a programming language? What is framework? What is programming language and what is framework? Are you able to understand the difference? What are the frameworks available here? Hibernate is one framework, Struts is one framework, Spring is one framework, etc. Like that, in the Java, there are several frameworks are available. Hibernate framework is available, which is related to Java. Struts framework available related to Java. Spring framework available related to Java. Hibernate, Struts, Spring. So these are frameworks. Programming language means programming languages are used to communicate with the computers. If a human want to communicate with a computer, we need programming languages. A person cannot communicate with the computer directly. Can you say hello to your computer? Can you say hello to your computer? Come on, guys. Can you directly communicate with your computer? Not possible. Computers cannot understand our languages. Computers will understand only binary language. So in order to communicate with those computers, we are going to use programming languages, right? Programming languages contains set of instructions and syntaxes. Set of instructions will be available and the syntaxes will be available. By using those instructions and syntaxes, we will develop the programs. Those programs are going to communicate with the computer. A project nothing but set of programs only. Sir, already we know programming language Java na. We know the Java instructions. We know Java syntaxes. We know how to develop a Java program, how to compile and execute a Java program also. When we already know the programming language, why we need to develop a framework? Why we need to learn the framework? By using Java, you can develop a project. But what is the problem? You need to write the business logic for your project. You need to write some common logic for your project also. Not only you, everybody should write the common logic in every application. It is waste of time and it is error prone. If you are writing the code, there is a chance of getting the error. So here, multiple times we are writing the same code in every project. It is wasting our time and it is giving the problems also. To overcome this problem, to overcome this boilerplate code, frameworks came into market. So what is a framework? Framework means it is a semi-developed software. That means that is partially developed, not fully. Fully developed means we can use it. Now, can I say Zoom is one application? It is fully developed. We are using it. We are using it for our requirement. But here, I want to develop one, I want to develop one application to book the airlines. Okay, booking the airlines is my requirement. So framework don't know what is my business. So for my business, I will write the business logic and I want the common logic. These are common logic. These are not only for me. Everybody needs these common logics. So that's why common logics are providing by the framework. The main aim of the framework to simplify your application development. To make developers' life easy, frameworks came into market. Now I want to develop my project. Basically for my project, I need to write business logic. Underneath, I need to write these common logics also. But if I go for the framework, I no need to work on the common logics because common logics are already available in the Spring project. Now what I will do in my project, I will use the Spring framework so that Spring will provide the common logics for me. I will develop only my business logic. The common logics what are available in the Spring, they are already tested. They are 100% working. You no need to test them once again. They already tested by the Spring developers. They provided that framework for the people in the market. So many people, almost all the Java developers are using this Spring framework to develop the project. Now tell me, I am going for a application development. So guys, here there is a contact us application is available. When I click on this button, validations are coming. So form validations is only my project requirement. Form validations are universal requirement. Form validations are is my requirement, is only my project requirement. Form validations are universal requirement. Universal, every project will have the form. For every form we need to do the validation. Okay, now here we are going to enter some data, and we are going to click on this button, send message. The request in the front end, I am filling the data in the form. I'm clicking on this button, thank you for contacting. Form data sent to the backend. Form data sent to the backend. So do I need to write the logic to capture form data? Capturing the form data is only my project requirement, or it is universal requirement? Form validations, capturing form data. So user submitted the form in the front end. User submitted the form in the front end. He clicked on the button. When user clicked on that button, this form data will go to backend. In the backend, I need to capture the form data and I need to store into database. So capturing the form data, inserting into database is only my project requirement, or it is universal requirement? Universal requirement. What is the meaning of universal requirement? Every project needs that functionality. Every project will have that requirement. Form will be available. Form validations are required. Form data we need to capture. We need to insert the form data into database. To insert the data into database, we need to load the driver, database driver. We need to open the connection. We need to insert the record. We need to close the connection. These all are common requirements, guys. These are common logics that every project needs. Now, do you recommend me to develop the logics, common logics in my project? Do you recommend me to use the logic which is already implemented by some framework? Which is the recommended approach to develop the projects now? Writing the common logics in our project is recommended, or using the common logics which are already implemented is recommended? Using the common logics which are already implemented is the recommended. So who is providing the common logics for you? Frameworks are providing. Frameworks are providing. Now, can you tell me what is a framework? What is framework? What are the advantages of going for framework? Can you tell me what is a framework and what is the advantage of going for framework? Come on, guys. What is a framework and what is the advantage of going for framework? Framework means semi-developed software. It will frameworks provides common logics which are required for application development. Frameworks provides common logics. If we use framework, then we need to concentrate only on the business logic. If we use framework, in our application development, then we need to focus only on business logic. We need to focus only on the business logic. Frameworks will provide the common logics. Framework will provide common logics. Framework will provide common logics. Now, guys, what are the frameworks available? What are the frameworks available in the Java? Hibernate framework is available. Struts framework is available. Spring framework is available. Hibernate. It is an ORM framework used to develop persistence layer of our application. Okay, next one, struts framework is available. It is a web framework. Used to develop web layer of our application. Hibernate is one framework, guys. It is a Java based framework. Hibernate is called as ORM framework. By using Hibernate, we can develop persistence layer of our application. Persistent layer means database communication. My project want to communicate with the database. To communicate with the database, some logics we are going to write. Insert the record, update the record, delete the record, retrieve the record. That logic, that persistent logic, that database communication logic can be implemented by using Hibernate framework. Now, if you see the project architecture, if you go for any project, you know that, right? Already MVC architectures will be available. MVC architecture will be available. Now, here view will be available. That is nothing but a presentation. Here controller will be available. That is a web layer. Here business layer will be available. Here DAO layer will be available. And here database will be available. Basically, application will be developed by using layered architecture. That is one tier architecture, two tier architecture, n tier architecture. We are going to follow this architecture. Now here my controllers will be available. I will call it as a web layer, and this is called as my business layer, where I will write business logic of my application. And this is my DAO layer. I can say that it is my persistence layer. I will write the logic to communicate with the database. Persistent layer will communicate with the database. Business layer will communicate with the persistence layer. Web layer will communicate with the business layer. This is my presentation layer. I can say that it is my user interface. This is my user interface. End users are going to communicate with my application by using this user interface only. User interface is going to communicate with my web layer. Here end user will be available. End user is going to communicate with the user interface of the application. Then user interface is going to communicate with the web layer. Web layer will communicate with the business layer. Business layer is communicating with the persistent layer. Persistence layer communicating with the database. Now, by using Hibernate, can I develop this entire project by using Hibernate? Guys, I will learn Hibernate. By using Hibernate, can I develop this entire project? Can I develop using Hibernate entire project? Where I can use a Hibernate in this diagram? This is my project architecture. My project is following entire architecture. My project is having persistence layer. My project is having business layer. My project is having web layer. My project is having presentation layer. Can I develop the whole project by using Hibernate? No, not possible. Where I can use Hibernate? Hibernate I can use only here, persistence layer. Hibernate can be used to develop only persistence layer. Are you guys clear with my point? Hibernate is an ORM framework which is used to develop only persistence layer. Hibernate is used to develop only persistence layer. Are you clear with my point? Very good. Next one. Struts framework available earlier, guys, in the 2008, 2009, 2010. Struts is very famous framework in the Java. Struts 1.x version, Struts 2.x versions are available, which are used to develop the applications. Even I have started my career as a Java programmer in the 2013. In the first company, when I got the job as a Java developer, in the first company, I developed a project by using Struts framework only in the 2013. My journey started in the Java with the Struts only. Struts is a framework which is used to develop web applications in the Java, right? But here the problem with the Struts is by using Struts framework, we can develop only web layer. Hibernate is used to develop only persistence layer. Struts is used to develop only web layer. So now by using Struts, can I develop entire project? By using Struts, can I develop entire project? By using Struts, can I develop entire project, or I cannot develop entire project by using Struts? No, Struts will not help you to develop entire project. Struts will help you in which layer? In which layer we can use the Struts framework? Struts can be used only in the web layer development. That's it. That means you can write just controllers. Web layer nothing but just controllers. Whenever you click the button, Request will go to web layer. Then web layer will send the response to the presentation layer. That's it. Web layer nothing but it contains the logic to handle the request and response. That's it. Nothing else. No business logic. Web layer means just controller. Whenever you click the button, the request will go to the controller in the web layer. Controller will take the data, will give the data to business layer. Business layer will execute the actual business logic, booking a ticket or whatever it is. Then business layer will communicate with the persistence layer. Persistence layer will have the logic to communicate with the database. So request response handling will be done by using controllers. Those controllers we are going to develop in the web layer. By using struts framework, you can develop only this web layer. By using Hibernate framework, you can develop only this persistence layer. Now tell me, if I want to develop a project, then I need to integrate struts plus Hibernate earlier. Yes or no? By using only struts, you cannot develop entire project. By using only Hibernate, you cannot develop entire project. So if you want to develop a project, then what you need? You need the struts framework and you need the Hibernate framework also. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? What is the struts and what is Hibernate? Where we can use the struts, where we can use the Hibernate? Struts is a web framework. By using struts, you can develop only web layer. What is web layer? Web layer contains only the logic to handle the request and response. Business layer will contain the actual business logic. This business layer is also called as a service layer. In some companies, some projects, people will call it as a service layer. Service layer, nothing but business layer, where actual business logic of the application will be available. Persistence layer, some people will call it as a DAO layer, data access object layer. DAO layer contains persistence logic. Persistence logic, nothing but a database communication logic. Inserting the record, CRUD operations, basically. CRUD operations we are going to perform in this persistence layer. Now, can you tell me why people are not using struts now? Can you tell me why people are not using struts now? Struts is available in the market, struts outdated in the market. Struts is available in the market or struts is already outdated in the market? Struts is already outdated in the market. Struts is already outdated in the market. Got my point? Struts is already outdated. Struts is already outdated. Okay. Now, so here struts is used only for the web layer. Hibernate is used only for the ORM layer. Hibernate is used only for the ORM layer. Now, Spring framework is available. It is an application development framework. What kind of framework Spring is, guys? Spring is an application development framework. Entire project can be developed by using Spring. Entire project can be developed by using this end-to-end project, end-to-end development. That means what are the layers available in the application? All the layers of the application can be developed by using this Spring framework. That's why Spring is called as application development framework, which is most famous framework in the market. Hibernate is there, struts is there, Spring is there. Spring is the most demanded framework in the market because Spring is not just ORM framework. Spring is not just web framework. Spring is application development framework. What is the meaning of application development framework? By using Spring framework, you can develop the entire project. What are the layers required for your project implementation? Everything can be implemented by using Spring framework. End-to-end project can be developed by using this Spring framework, and Spring is providing you common logics also. You no need to write the common logics in the project. Common logics already implemented by the Spring framework. You just to use the Spring framework in your project and you develop only your business logic, then your project will be ready. So that is the reason people are going for Spring framework. So now guys, can you tell me what is a Spring? Can I say Spring is a web framework? Can I say Spring is ORM framework? What is the Spring framework? What is the definition of the Spring? Spring is only web framework. Huh? Spring is only ORM framework. Huh? Spring is application development framework. Huh? Spring is application development framework. Why Spring is called as application development framework? Why Spring is called as application development framework? Can you please respond? Can you please respond why Spring is application development framework? End-to-end development can be done by using Spring. We can do application end-to-end development. End-to-end development means a complete project can be implemented by using this Spring framework. Complete project can be implemented by using this Spring framework. We can develop entire project by using Spring framework. So are you guys able to understand just two things today? What is programming language and what is framework? It took almost 1 hour to get the clarity. Guys, are you able to follow my voice? Do you feel that I'm going speed? Everybody able to understand, right? The best thing in my classes is I will repeat the concept for several times. Otherwise, I don't get that satisfaction. I will do the repetitions so that you can understand. If you miss in the first attempt, no problem. You will understand that in the second time. I will repeat 2 to 3 times every concept. Then only I feel that yes, I'm teaching. So for my satisfaction purpose, I will repeat. My intention, the people who attend my class, they no need to refer the notes also. Directly the subject should be injected into their brain. Do you really need to refer the notes after this? Do you really need to refer the notes after this? It will be registered in your brain. That is the beauty of our class. That is the beauty of our class. And one more thing, you no need to write the running notes also. I am preparing a beautiful notes for you. After the class completed, I will share these notes with you. After the class completed, I'm going to share these notes with you guys. And I have shared the recorded videos also for you in the email. Did you guys check your email? Daily I'm sending the emails for you. Daily I'm sending the emails for you. Did you check that email? Did you check that email? These videos I have sent in the email also. Daily we are sending these videos in the email. 3 classes completed. All the 3 classes we sent in the email. Some people emails are wrong. Whenever you register in the Zoom, your mobile numbers are wrong. Your emails are wrong. So the mail got failed for you. So register in the Zoom with valid mail ID, valid WhatsApp mobile number. Then you will get the mails and WhatsApp messages from AhokIT. Yep. People who registered in the Zoom with valid email ID and valid WhatsApp mobile number, they got it. If you did not register with the correct details, guys, then in this Zoom link, register with the correct details. SpringBoot microservices Zoom link is available now. In that register, provide your valid email ID and this is the Zoom link. Provide your valid email ID and valid WhatsApp mobile. You will get that email. You will get that message also. Okay. Daily I'm sharing that. Fine. Good. So we understood what is a programming language, what is a framework. Programming language used by humans to communicate with the computers. Programming language contains a set of instructions and syntaxes. C, C++, Java, C#, Python, these all comes under programming languages. When the programming languages are available, why frameworks came into market? Framework means it is a semi-developed software. Frameworks provide some common logics which are required for application development. So in the Java, we have several frameworks like Hibernate, Struts, Spring, etc. Now, so what is the advantage of going for framework? if we use a framework in our application development, then we need to focus only on business logic implementation. Framework will provide the common logic. We need to concentrate only on the business logic. What is this Hibernate? Hibernate is an ORM framework. It is used to develop persistence layer of our application. Persistence layer means what? The layer which is going to interact with the database, it is called as persistence layer. Struts. Struts is a web framework. It is used to develop only web layer of the application. Used to develop only persistence layer. Hibernate is used to develop only persistence layer. Struts is a web framework used to develop only web layer. Spring is an application development framework. Entire project can be developed by using this Spring framework. We can do application end-to-end development. Spring is the most famous framework in the Java. Currently, there is no competitor for the Spring in the market because Spring provided an enhancement called Spring Boot. Spring Boot is developed based on the Spring framework only. Currently, there is no competitor in the market for the Spring framework. In the Java community, every programmer should know this is Spring framework to develop the applications. Why we need to know the Spring framework? As you have seen, Spring is one project developed by other company. In the Spring project, some logics are already implemented. Spring is a semi-developed software. So to develop your application, you just write the business logic and use the Spring framework. Spring framework will provide you common logics for your application. So database communications, object creations, form validations, form data capture, email sending, security, everything will be taken care by Spring framework only. You just concentrate on your business logic implementation. All right, application development without framework. If you want to develop a application, you need to write the business logic and you need to write the common logics also. That is the reason we are using the frameworks. Framework means semi-developed software. Good. So we understood what is a human language and what is a programming language. Two humans will communicate by using a language. Similarly, if a human want to communicate with a computer, we will use a programming language. Are you guys comfortable with this? Are you guys comfortable with this? Clear? Very good. With this, our free classes got completed, guys. So we have our next session on Monday. So for Monday session, Zoom link is going to change. The Zoom link will be provided for the people who enrolled for this batch. So today is the last date for your enrollment. So I told you 3 classes you can attend for free. So free classes got completed. So today you have to complete your enrollment process. Once you complete your enrollment process, then we will be providing the access in the portal. We will be providing the access for you in the portal. So once you log in into the portal, if you go to my dashboard, there my courses will be available. Here you will get the access for Spring Boot microservices course under my courses. So when you click on the view notes button, you will see the class notes like this, and you will have a Zoom link also here. Daily you need to join the class from this link. Here you need to click that button, then you will see the Zoom link to join the class. Telegram group also will be available. Click on this button to join in the Telegram. Telegram link will be available here. Zoom link will be available here. This Spring Boot course will be available for the people who enrolled today. Today is the last date for the enrollment to continue with the next session. So in the next session, we are going to see some advantages of going for Spring framework. Okay, thank you.